How many instruments do you play, and how long have you been playing each of them?
Well, so I play. Uh, let's see. Well, obviously drums, drums, bass, guitar. I'm probably going in order of proficiency here. Drums, bass, guitar, uh, piano, and saxophone. And
Mhm.
so they've all come in very irregular intervals. So drumming was, as I say, 3 years old, very very young, and probably guitar. I'd say came when I was maybe about 8 or 9. Got an interest in playing guitar, and you know, had a few lessons with Pete and Josh from the Strypes. We used to take guitar lessons. Pete used to be in the class before me and Josh, so we'd be coming in as his class was leaving. At which point, I also got really interested in bass playing, thanks to the Who and thanks to the Yardbirds as well, who we got completely obsessed with. Then piano and sax came about actually quite late, as in like the last 4 or 5 years, because I did piano lessons for a year when I was a child, so I knew the basic chords. I knew like all the normal, where the C chord and the gist of it, and so I always knew how to play a tune or two like I learned when I was a child. My party piece was "I Am the Walrus." I could play the piano part in that, which is just plonking away on the chords, but it, you know, was just something that I could do. And had the vague notion of wanting to play like, sort of boogie woogie rock and roll piano. I had a fantasy of wanting to learn that for years, but it was probably when I was about um 18, so between 16 and 18, I actually took into it in earnest, actually wanting to learn. So whenever the Stripes, we were obviously kind of in full flight at that point. So we were touring all the time and all that. But whenever I was at home, I started looking up how to play boogie woogie piano and madness. I got mad into madness and wanted to learn all that stuff. So um, madness songs like My Girl and things would have been the first proper piano songs I learned. And then the sax, again inspired by madness and by 50s rock and roll and my interest in that, and people like Ian Jury, and who always has sax in his music and all that. So um, yeah, so I was just took the notion to learn those things around that time, and obviously just did it a lot in all my free time.
Cool. Well, you get to make your own super group here. I want you to make up a band of any members. You could decide what instrument you play and who plays the other instruments.
Oh, so I'm in the band.
Yes.
Okay, okay, that's a good twist. Um, Let me think now. That's a really good one. Now, me being in the band kind of maybe throws an interesting uh, slant on things, obviously. Uh, um, so I'll put myself on bass because that's something that I have always wanted to be in a band, and I am a drummer in a band, so there's no novelty in that fantasy lineup. So uh, I'll go on bass, and I'll put, you know, let's say Keith Moon would be tempting, and Ringo would be tempting or whatever, but to put on drums. But I might put, for sheer versatility, I might put Bobby Elliott from the Hollies on drums because he's someone who I
Hmm.
sicken everybody with talking about, um, and because he's just a brilliant player. Like, I would, while I personally would rank maybe people like Keegan and Ringo higher, he kind of has more of a, can cover all these bases. He can go, you know, he's maybe not as he doesn't have the thing that those fellas have where you go, oh, that's unmistakably so and so, but he can kind of cover every base, which kind of makes it, which is impressive in its own right. And he has great sort of drum showmanship and amazing ability and all that. Um, so me and Bobby are the rhythm section, obviously. Um, I'd make Lee Brillo from Doctor Feelgood the front man because he's my favorite front man and lead singer ever. Just his total control, the fact that he can kind of, he just seems to know exactly what's going on all the time. He's completely in command of the whole band and the whole show, and even though he's not like obviously a great singer, he is a great singer, if you know what I mean. That it's like
Yeah.
at what he does, and you know his ability to perform a song in his own way. I think he's just amazing with his ad libs and you know things like that. Like I recently was listening to a Dr. Feelgood live BBC session, and they do their song Roxette, which obviously is a great favorite of mine and stuff like that. And there's a little kind of tempo change, and just as it happens, he's about to kick into a harmonica solo, and he just shouts like, "Let's party, man!" But it's just like the coolest thing ever because it's so effortless and sounds so sort of intimidating. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
sounds totally intimidating and totally, I know what's going on here, and there's a meanness to it, but a kind of a show busy showmanship to it as well. Um, so Lee's fronting the band. Uh, Guitar is going to be maybe a tough one. So keys, I'll probably put. Um, we'll go with Jules Holland, circa 1979.
Yeah.
We'll do. I have a feeling you know what I'm getting at there,
Yeah.
because Jules, who's because the band that we'd be forming, obviously his boogie woogie skills would be really useful and definitely will be coming in handy and be used a lot. Um, but his kind of squeeze era persona is so great and so strong, and a lot of what he brought to Squeeze was the kind of character, um, his whole thing with the shades and the big suits and his kind of eccentric. Whereas later on he kind of became the Jules the TV persona character is kind of different from Jules the Squeeze character. It's a little bit more oddball sort of thing, and the cigar. I like playing the piano while smoking the cigar and wearing shades. I just think that's the coolest thing ever. It's like so funny and cool,
Yeah.
and that's a very important thing. Um, and he was pretty, and he could do some nice kind of new wavy rock continental keyboard parts as well. Which leads me to guitar. So I've obviously constructed a band here that's um one guitar, bass, drums, and keys, and a front man. So that's me giving my dream formation away there.
Mm.
But, let me think now. I would say for guitar, I really have to think about this. For the fucking for the Larry of it, which is an Irish phrase meaning for the laugh of it, um, I will put what's his name, Warner Hodges from Jason and the Scorchers on lead guitar, because I don't know if you've seen any Jason and the Scorchers footage. I'd
No.
really recommend checking it out, or I can supply you with some Jason and the Scorchers footage,
Hmm.
because he was a pretty crazy lad. He was great. So Jason Scorchers, for the folks at home, are a cowpunk band from the 80s that is a very big influence on the Zen Arcade, the band that I am in. From the cowpunk point of view, we take a lot of our cues from them. They're a really cool band, and mix the country and the punk and the sort of uh, good old timey rock and roll thing all kind of wrapped up into one. So he does like he can in between like two phrases do the around the world guitar thing, which is which he manages to do and not be naff, because that could be very naff
Oh yeah, yeah.
in a kind of a rock kind of way. That could be really naff, like rock with a W, or no, it was an RAWK, which I wouldn't approve of it in that context at all. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
No, I know what you're talking about, but that is funny because we are also children of School of Rock, and that
Yeah,
definitely has that kind of vibe, you know.
it does. It definitely does. Yeah. But what you call it? But it School of Rock just spurred us on in such other in every conceivable way.
It's
But
just yeah, it's just such a great movie, and Jack
yeah,
Black is so charming. He gets away with it.
he gets away with it, and he knows it's funny. You see, he's
Yeah.
playing up to the the bit that other people do that is unintentionally funny. He does, and it's intentionally funny. If you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
like the Legend of the Rent, something like
Mhm. Yeah. All
that.
right. So you formed yourself a really great super group here. Clearly, one that is kind of rare for someone of your age, which has just been clear about anything that
Yeah.
you like. So that makes me think, like, growing up, like we both grew up listening to bands that were not of our time. And I mean, I'll speak for myself. I got a lot of shit from it. Were you ever worried about getting shit from it?
Well, I'm very sorry to hear you got shit from it, and I sympathize with that. Um, I suppose I didn't. Well, I did get shit for it, but it actually came up so little that there wasn't enough time for there to be shit got from it. If you know what I mean, because
Mm.
kind of a thing I suppose about, and I didn't get shit from it until like kind of teenage time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
that was it. Yeah.
it's more in a teenagery way because that's when everyone's all sort of faddy and you know. But I think at the same time, there's a funny thing that the I don't know about yourself, um, but I think me and the other lads, let's say, would come at it from a very different point of view in the sense that having grown up in rural Ireland, the concept of being interested in music at all is what's the novelty.
Mm,
Is you know what I mean?
okay.
It's not even. It's not as a. It's you don't even almost get as far as what you like, if you know what I mean. So, like everywhere, there's obviously people forming bands in school and things like that. That definitely does happen. And but I think maybe the specific situation that I was in, I was a little bit removed from that. Um, in a way that it was more like you're the lad in the class, or you're one of maybe two or three people in the class or in the your whole year in school who are interested in music.
So yeah, now with you in the Zen Arcade, you're also doing something that's very different from a lot of other bands. But that said, I think something interesting about the rock scene right now is that I don't think that there's one rock band out there that sounds the same. And what do you think? Like, do you think that's going to be great for the future of rock? I mean, the future of rock gets mentioned all the time, but I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I suppose, and I think the different sounds and different things. I suppose that's kind of something I'd be very in favor of because, um, a lot of what we've been doing with the Zen Arcade, I think we've kind of felt like there's aspects of our taste in music that we'd like to bring forward out in it, things that weren't being brought out in the Stripes because it became a kind of a, in the one sense, it became a bit of a limited setup because we had the sort of major label success that we had, Cowpunk being the obvious example, that we were thinking we've got mad into this genre in all these 80s and 90s cowpunk bands. Um, it's something that we really think is really cool, something we'd like to do. And then we're going, why don't more people know about this? Why isn't this more of a well-known alternative genre or whatever it is? We're going to be the people that do cowpunk when no one else is doing it. We're going to, and all that sort of stuff. And
Mm.
and even at that, you could argue that there are people now who are doing sort of cowpunk, broadly speaking, things. Like
Mm.
even maybe even the Nude Party or people like Orville Peck or whatever. Probably do touch on what you could broadly define as that. But we in our little head, because we again are living in, we'd be over in our little corner kind of going, oh yeah, we want to do this. And kind of the thing that, because it's kind of a weird thing to do, is what's maybe attractive about it in a genre way. And I kind of enjoy that. That's something to kind of be strive for in a way that I suppose you could even go back, let's say go back again to the Who and the Kinks and whoever. um it's a real kind of cliche when you read about those times or the Yardbirds or whatever, that every band wanted a gimmick. You know,
Mm.
every band was going for, oh, well, we're the band that kicks over the drum kit and smashes the guitars. We're the band that do the crazy rave ups that go on for 10 minutes, and that was a kind of a thing back in the day. That's kind of a unique thing about them, and I think that's good.